heard the sound of a thunder that roared out a warning. I heard the roar of a wave that could drown the whole world. I heard 100 drummers whose hands were ablazing. And it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rains are gonna fall.
It was the dog days of August 2004, with endless sun and calm seas on the South Florida beaches. Who could tell that soon a triple disaster would strike? It began on the 13th, when Hurricane Charley took a hard right turn and slammed into Punta Gorda.
20 minutes into landfall here are near whiteout conditions on the Charlotte River and harbor as the water is drawn out to sea by the winds, soon to be drawn back in. The clouds are moving so fast, it's almost unimaginable. Check out that. All right, let's do it again.
Even as Charley made landfall, the Greater Palm Beach Area chapter of the American Red Cross, as always, immediately went to the aid of our stricken friends on the West Coast.
We're sending food, making sure they have all the necessary supplies they need for feeding, mass care, sheltering.
Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning.
It's just a massive, massive storm system. There's a look at Digital Doppler 5.
Just 2 weeks later, over the Labor Day weekend, Hurricane Frances slowly overtook the coastline of Palm Beach County, forcing 2.5 million Floridians to flee their homes.
That's okay.
Now the storm had hit home, and the Red Cross was ready.
First of all, the shelter populations were still holding approximately 18,000 in Palm Beach. In the other three counties that our chapter serves, Okeechobee, Henry Glades, is approximately 2,500.
Thousands took refuge in Red Cross shelters and waited and watched as the storm pounded us for over 2 days.
What's really holding them together at this point as they watch and wait, because that's pretty much all they can do at this point?
It's humbling almost to watch the work of the Red Cross, staffers and volunteers there. They are working around the clock, 24 hours, trying to help these people, feeding them, keeping order, keeping everything moving, explaining what's going on. It's an uphill battle, but they're doing a really good job there and in many other places. We also visited...
Finally, the skies cleared and the recovery began. Millions were without power, there were thousands of mouths to feed, and Red Cross volunteers from across the country came to town and did what they do best. Massive feeding stations went up, water and ice were distributed, and Red Cross emergency response vehicles went out to the neighborhoods to provide food for those who could not travel to the feeding stations. But the tropics remained deadly busy, and knowing the need would be even greater as Hurricane Jean tore through the Caribbean, the Red Cross shipped in more supplies and made a call for more volunteers. The Red Cross held special training sessions in first aid, CPR, and shelter management. And Floridians, despite their own worries from 2 previous storms, answered the call. Once again, the Red Cross was prepared.
And as you can see, for 2 o'clock Sunday morning, an increase of 120-mile-an-hour winds.
Dwyer High School in Palm Beach Gardens, Bethune Elementary School in Riviera Beach.
Then, even as Floridians were still picking up the pieces from Frances, Hurricane Jean took an identical path right across the same coastline.
The outer band of Hurricane Jean now jolting Juno Beach. Some signs that the storm is getting bad. The waves are already coming up higher onto the shore.
For many who survived the first 2 storms, this one was just too much.
So bad of our house to come here. We were crying, the other kind of crying, because everything was still here. It was amazing. We couldn't believe it was here. Now it's all gone.
If there's doubt and you're cold, don't you worry what the future holds. We gotta have heroes to teach us all to never give up on a dream.
But once again, Red Cross staff and volunteers worked tirelessly, feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, caring for the sick and the sick at heart.
Our local chapter has ordered tons of food from every vendor a week ago, and it is ready to come in. So we are prepared. We will get the job done.
In one catastrophic month, the Greater Palm Beach Area chapter of the American Red Cross opened 68 shelters and housed almost 37,000 evacuees. The chapter served 848,000 meals and provided health services for over 2,600 elderly and ill. Provided family and mental health counseling for over 5,000. That massive job was accomplished by a paid staff of 50, joined by 887 dedicated volunteers. It was an historic undertaking that could not have been accomplished without your generous financial support. But even as we give thanks for all your help, we have to remind ourselves of the greatest lesson learned in the historic hurricane disaster of 2004. It's not a matter of if the storms will strike again. It's a matter of when.